Yes, good afternoon. Welcome back to Football Heritage TV on what is a lovely, lovely, hot, sunny day. And for Greek people like us, this is what we love. This is it. This is what we're used to with our olive skin. Look, sitting in the sun for an hour, I'm already going. Stel, welcome back to Savva Stel. Ask Us Anything. Happy Wednesday to you. How are you?
Yeah, good. Good workout in the gym today. Weather's excellent for once in London, and got a big game tomorrow that I'm going to. So I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to seeing what we do in the semi-final.
You're going to Bodo Glimt at home, are you?
Yeah.
Well, it should be an interesting one. They've got their three best players suspended, and they've got two or three other injuries. It's set up nicely for Ange and for Tottenham. That's all I'll say. I'm not saying we're not Spursy, but it's set up nicely for us. And I'm sure there'll be questions about this. We'll get into it. Guys and girls, get your questions in. There's only a few so far. I'll leave it a few minutes and let them build up, and then we'll get to them. But still, it's a weird time. Another defeat of the weekend. Another defeat. This defeat was somewhat more embarrassing than the others. This was a defeat where we even took the lead and then just decided that we had no desire to be able to defend. But a big week for the club. Huge week for Tottenham.
Yeah, I mean, I think as soon as we saw the starting lineup, we knew what was going to happen at Anfield, and then we did the worst thing possible. We scored early and pissed them off on their day of celebration, and they just unleashed a can of whoop ass on us. Could have been 8 or 9. They outplayed us from pillar to post. We had a good 10-15 minute spell at the beginning, and then we just capitulated. Yeah. And you know, when you start Davies and Danzo at the back against, you know, Gakpo, Salah, Diaz, you're asking for trouble. And then you decide in that particular game you'll put Archie Gray as the 6 to protect them when he hasn't done it all season. In the hardest game of the season, we have an atrocious record at Anfield over 100 years. You literally just waved the white flag and surrendered the game. And anyone who thought we might get a draw, wouldn't it be Spursy if we beat? Again, it's the delusion in this club is mental. Yeah. It's absolutely bonkers.
Yeah. What if we're the ones to stop them winning the title? Nah, don't worry about that. Don't worry about that.
There was only one outcome. And the starting lineup confirmed it. We knew we'd probably lose, but we wanted to see a bit of fight. You know, give them something to think about, and just try and be in the game if we can towards the latter stages. You never know. And, you know, it's not unusual to do that. Poch's got a draw at Anfield twice. Conte got a draw. I believe Ange got, we were 3-3 and then they won it in the 95th minute, Liverpool. We lost 4-3. But the fact is, we've been to Anfield and been in games. Yeah, we were out of this game after 10 minutes. We were literally gone. And it was men v boys, man. It was awful to watch. The defending was horrendous, horrific. Individual defending, team defending, and I honestly, it beggars belief what they've been practicing for 2 years. They've had 2 years to learn how to have a defensive structure and how to defend as individuals, and we were horrendous. Absolutely atrocious. So, yeah, 4 games to go. I don't think we're winning another Premier League game. Maybe a couple of draws, but I actually think we will probably finish either bang on 40 points or just below.
What a sad indictment for Tottenham Hotspur. Yeah, do you know what? It was only the other day I saw a post where someone was talking about we still haven't hit the magical 40-point mark yet. And I thought, Jesus, this is bad. But look, I think one of the things you said there before we get to the question, Stel, one of the things you said there, I think is the big issue for me. By the way, just a picture showing Rodri back in full training for Man City. Good for them. Not good for their season. It's come a bit too late, but good for the world of football because we want to see people like that out and about and playing. I think the worrying thing, what you just said there, Stel, when you hit the nail on the head, it's that these tactics that we see, these performances that we see, are a culmination of 2 years on the training ground. This is what he's trained on. This is what these players have been working on for 2 years. And again, I've said all year, it doesn't matter who's playing. Doesn't matter if VDV and Romero start. Doesn't matter if Bentancur starts. Doesn't matter if Solanke's fit. It's the same performances no matter who starts. Look, let's get to some questions. Just before we
Savva,
go on.
Can I just say, there's people in the chat who are saying, Stel, they are the champions. What do you expect? Nottingham Forest went there and won. Crystal Palace got a draw, right? There are teams that have given Liverpool a go that aren't amazing teams. What I expect is for the sixth biggest club in England, the second richest club in England, a club that doesn't have any injuries anymore, to at least give it a go, to be in the game, right? That's what I expect. Now, if you don't expect that, stop supporting Tottenham. It's not for you. Go find another club where it's expected to lose every single week and normalise that, because it's now being normalised at Spurs. And unfortunately, there are fans that are accepting this and normalising it in their minds. It's unacceptable, man. Like, we're going to lose some games in a season. We get it. But to just bend over and take it, you might as well don't turn up. Just void the game. Give them the 3 points and void the game. I don't understand what we're trying to achieve here. You got to at least give it a go.
This is exactly what Danny Murphy said. Danny Murphy hit the nail on the head yesterday on TalkSport, where he turned around and he said, "This team isn't coached. This is not coached." He said, "I've watched Spurs live a number of times."
You're right.
And he said, "I cannot believe what I'm seeing in front of me. People not going with their runners, fullbacks out of position, no midfield, gaping holes down the channels." It's what we've been saying for 2 years, but yet somehow when we say it, we're wrong. When pundits say it, it's acceptable. They're football pundits. It's madness. Look, let's get some questions.
Yep.
Daniela, big up to you. So yes, you don't mind losing to Liverpool if you put an effort in. Exactly, Daniela. This is the problem for me. We've gone there. We've had our bellies tickled. As I said, I was sitting in a bar in Villamora, and as I sat down before the game, there's this couple behind me, Liverpool fans. She said to her, I don't know if they're married or what. "I'm really nervous." I turned around and I went, "Don't worry, love. This is the easiest thing you could ask for to win the title." "No, I don't think it'll be that easy." I said 4 or 5-1. 4 or 5-1. How did you know? Trust me, I know my Tottenham. I know my Spurs. Don't you worry about that.
I know my...
Let's get to some questions. Get your questions in. I'll try and get to as many as possible. Let's, as always, start with any that are super chats. So big up to Vanit that has said, "The fact that Ange can go down as the best Spurs manager over 40 years shows how off this trophy metric is. The only true gauge is the Premier League and Champions League." Vanit, I want to change a word. Not best, successful. Not best. Now, there's a number of factors that go in here. Best managers don't always win everything. Second of all, he's the most successful, but he's the only Spurs manager that's had the Europa League where the Champions League teams don't come down and play. So for me, we should be where we are in this Europa League. We should be, with the teams we've played, we should be getting to that final. And there should be no excuse in a one-off game why we can't win. So that's where I'm at with it. Stel, I mean, this is not so much a question, but what do you make of this statement?
Yeah, I mean, we haven't won it. We're not even in the final. I'm getting more and more questions like this myself, and I'm seeing people having these conversations. It's almost like we've just bypassed Bodo Glimt. It's almost as if we've just said, "Yeah, we're all right." I don't buy it. I simply don't buy it. Let's get to the final, then have these conversations, because I'm telling you, I really think we're underestimating Bodo. Injuries or no injuries. Well, look, do you know what? we're going to get onto the Europa game. I'll tell you what I think about it when we get to it. But for me, I want us to get to the final first before we talk about Ange being a success, best, and we need to get to that final to even entertain the conversation.
Yeah, I agree. But what I can't have is somebody that's going to have possibly lower than a 1.0 points per game ratio ever being labelled successful. That's where I'm at. But listen, we'll get back to that later. But big up, Vinny. Thank you very much. I think it's just the wording. It's just the wording. Where are we? Let's have a look. Let's Sean Radley. I just found this one quite funny. I don't think it needs a big thing, but Sean has said, Savva, how is Ange still there? Sean Dice must be rubbing his hands. Listen, Stel, I'll tell you what, let me give you my theory. I talked about this on my show earlier. I've talked about it in our WhatsApp group before. I'd love to get your take on it because I know everyone thinks we agree on everything, but we really don't. And so my theory has been that I think Ange is still here because I think there's a big overhaul happening in the summer. I think something is happening, whether it's outside investment, whether it's takeover, whether it's just Vinay Venkateshan coming in and saying, right, Munn, Lang, and you're all going at once, and it will be Paratici, his manager, and Gabbanini coming in. I just think there's something big going to happen in the summer because normally, as much as we hate Levy still, we do know this isn't Daniel Levy behaviour to let this go. So what do you make of my theory of the summer? It's just a theory, by the way.
We change every single summer. We're fed something new, so it makes sense. We were told about we're reflecting, we're reviewing, we're assessing, we're doing an internal sporting analysis, we're doing a data-driven player acquisition model. I'm hearing today that it's now going to be an assessment of the managerial pyramid. It's all corporate bollocks designed to spin a new narrative of the same old nonsense through the media so us fans jump on some new version of the same crap that they can't get right. So, yeah, I expect some kind of restructure. They'll give it a new title. Brian Daigle calls it buzzword bingo. There'll be a new buzzword that we're all going to be using, probably managerial pyramid. And that's how it works at Spurs. It just goes to show they don't know what they're doing. They haven't got a clue what they're doing when it comes to football. Because this was meant to be the big project, the big reboot, the big rebuild, data-driven model, Project Youth. It's collapsed. It's absolutely gone to shit. And now we're putting all our hopes and dreams and prayers that we can win a European trophy to save it all. Yeah, there probably will be a big change in the summer because that's what we do as a way to convince fans to stay on board, and most fans will jump on it again and not learn their lessons, and we'll just repeat the roller coaster yet again. So yeah, I can see Paratici coming back now that AC Milan aren't going to take him. Vinay's already in.
He'll bring back Gabbanini. And I've got no problem with Gabbanini coming back, by the way. I
thought Gabbanini was going to take Paratici's role when Paratici left. I thought that was the easy transition, but we ended up bringing in Lange. But it's funny, though, because what we did this year was we spent less money than the year before on players. We've cut the wage bill. We've got a manager who's on less money than Conte, and Lange is earning half of what Paratici did. So every decision we made in the summer was the cheapest possible one we could get away with. And it's all backfired. The whole thing has completely backfired. This is the worst season I can ever remember, other than that one year we nearly got relegated in the 90s and we stayed up by beating Oldham 2-1. I'm going back a good 25, 30 years, but
I remember.
This season's it's a disaster, man. This project is a failure. It's a joke. The whole thing's a joke.
No, absolutely. And Andy Lester, I hope you get better soon, man. I'm hoping the fact that you're up and on your mobile phone watching us tells us that it's not a serious car accident. Get better soon, my friend. Get better soon. Look, let's get to lots of different comments, by the way, not questions, comments about whether tomorrow should be easy or not. We'll get into it. We will get into it. But But some people saying Spurs need to at least be 4-0 up before going to Norway. It's going to be a shock to the system going to Norway. That's going to be a shock to the system. Let's go to the questions. Let's get the super chats out of the way. So a user said, never underestimate Spurs. When we can, we don't.
That's genius.
Do you know what?
That's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant.
Do you know what is funny? It kind of reminds me. I was speaking to Mike's earlier, West Ham fan. I'm doing a preview for him on his channel for West Ham, and he said to me, he sent me this. I thought it was quite funny. He might not have sent this to me. Somebody else might have sent it to me, but it was they called it the El Crapico, like looking at both those two clubs' form in the last 16 games between Spurs and West Ham. We've both won one, which is hilarious. So,
I think we're going to draw, actually, at West Ham. I think we're going to draw.
He basically said to me, Spurs and West Ham are both so shit, they'll both find a way to lose. Do you know what I mean? It's like, you know, when big up to you, a user. Really appreciate you. You've come back in again and said, with Levy at the helm, I am writing off next season. Well, look, we'll get into it. There's a few questions about why's my wife missed? What you missed? You? No, I'm streaming. Stop asking me questions about stuff. Always questions. Since I've been married, questions. Lots of questions. Questions. Always having to think. Listen, we'll get into this. A user, thank you for that. There are a couple of questions about next season and different scenarios, so we will get into that. But as always, I really appreciate your support of the channel. Let's get into this. So Edwards Matheson, big up to you, has said, question, depending on the Europa League outcome, how do you see Spurs next season? So answering that question, in the leagues and cups, and what would constitute a successful season depending on players leaving, new manager or not? I mean, there's a lot of different variations there. I mean, Let me spin this question still. The Bodo Glimt game and or the final, depending on winning that, has huge repercussions on what Spurs will be able to do this summer. Huge repercussions for players coming in and players going out. What do you make of it?
Yeah, so if the club would have expected to finish top 6 this season. So by finishing 17th, and this was mentioned on TalkSport, we're going to be £30 million short from the expected budget that they would have anticipated by finishing top 6, because you get £3 million extra per position you finish in the league. So we finished 5th last year. 17th is a 12th place drop off. That's about
£37.5 million.
Yeah. So they've got to find that £37 million that they budgeted for. On top of that, not being in Europe means you're going to take a financial hit on not having those games, those tickets, the merch and drinks and food that you sell on European nights. That's going to be another hit on top. Plus, no prize money from winning any trophies. So you're probably going to lose in the region. I mean, we make roughly 5 million on a Premier League night. We probably make about 3 on a Europa. So, I mean, Europa games we played at home this year, 4, 5, 6, let's say 7. 7 times 3, that's about 21. Let's call it 20. So it's another 20 million we'll lose from not being in Europe. 20 plus. So we're looking at a 55. We're going into the transfer window down 55 million on having money from what they would have budgeted for. So they're going to have to sell players. So let's say you sell Romero and one other player, you've covered the budget. Well, now you've got 2 places that need to be filled before you strengthen the squad. And then you've got players you're going to just not keep at the club because they're not good enough. Hopefully the likes of Richie, Werner, Ben Davies, we just call it a day with these players. So either you're going to actually bring youngsters in and develop them, which the club has shown us that they're not prepared to do, or you're going to have to sell at least 2 players to cover the expected income you're not going to earn. Plus, you're going to lose 3 or 4 players naturally. So you're already down 6.
Yeah.
And that's without spending money and having sold players. So you need to buy another 6. So let's say 2 come from the academy. Where are you going to fund those 4 players? Assuming we're not going to buy players for 10 million, we're going to buy players between 20 to 50 mil. So let's say we want to spend maybe 100 mil. That's what we're going to try and spend. Where does that money come from? Well, the reality is there's only one way you can generate that money without having to bring in new investors, borrow the money, which we're not going to do because we're already heavily in debt. And that is to win the Europa. Because if you win the Europa, you're going to get 80 to 100 million pounds of income from being in the competition. That's the only answer. So if we win the Europa, it saves next season. It completely saves it. Forget this season. It saves next season. If you win the Europa, we really are fucked in terms of strengthening the squad, balancing the books, and trying to improve on next season. So they'll probably will sack Ange and bring in a manager and say, you've got to work with this lot. There's not really a transfer spend. Good luck. Because I don't rate a lot of these players. But yeah, of course, a new manager can get a better tune out of them. He'll only play 1 game a week because he's not in Europe. So, but will we get top 6 next year? I don't think we will. I don't. I think there's too many other teams that are already ahead of us who will invest because they're in a position to invest. So I honestly look at it now and I say to myself, it's Europa Cup or bust. And bust meaning the wheels could really royally come off next season, as in
massively
flying off. So we must win that Europa, or we are going to have one hell of a toxic season on YouTube next year, Savva. It's going to be. We thought this year was toxic. Next year is going to be. We're entering Donald Trump territory on YouTube.
Well, look, I think this is the key thing. I'm seeing a lot of the comments going on about. Look, there are those that have this theory, right? And listen, nothing's right or wrong, but apart from that he should be sacked, that's definitely right. You know, how do you win a Europa League and then sack a manager? But for me, I'm on the side of the people that are saying, for the good of the club moving forward, I would say thank you to the manager for winning it and please move on. That for me is where I'm at. I think that a cup run is great, but we have seen Stel over the course of 2 full Premier League seasons that this manager can't quite cut the mustard in the Premier League. Now, we've had talks of the ball being too round, not deserving points, injuries, too many games, he said, we had to play this season. Last year was too few games we had to play. It doesn't seem to matter what the circumstances are. He can't get it right. He can't get us tactically set up. And his idea tactically is brilliant in theory, but in reality, it doesn't work. So for me, this manager has to go because next year, you're right, Stel, the rails could come off dramatically, whatever happens. If he doesn't win it, right? If he doesn't win this Europa League, we're at the stage, Stel, where I said this. This is no longer. I hate when people say, oh, do you want to win it? Forget that. We're at the point still where wanting to has nothing to do with it for the good of this club anymore. We have to. We simply have to win this tournament to have any chance of doing anything in the transfer market and for keeping footballers. If not, we're going to be looking at the youth project that people thought this year was. I can assure you. We're going to be looking at some very, very bad days if we do not win this Europa League. So when people turn around, this is the fine line between Ange being successful and being the worst manager ever. This is a huge fine line. That's just where I'm at with it.
Yeah, no, I agree. We did a show last week called Europa or Bust. Not financially bust, but will be busted in terms of the damage will be so significant to repair it is going to take many, many, many years. And the patience, the appetite, the desire isn't there for that. It's not there. Yeah. The fan base, they're gone with it. I don't see how anyone's going to tolerate it. It's gone on for too long. So if he wins, do you know, this is interesting, Savva, because I said on my channel the other night, I'm actually torn because listen to my logic and then tell me what you think. Right? This isn't what I want to happen. This is how I think. If we win the Europa, it'll be fantastic. It'll be a European trophy. We're going to party. We're going to dance. And if Arsenal don't win anything, we're going to give it large to them. And we're going to celebrate for weeks. And we're going to have a big bus parade. We're going to have a fucking great day out. And we're back in the Champions League next season. We've got money, some money to spend. It's such a good place to be if we win that Europa. And I want it. I really want to win the Europa. However, that's a short-term fix. If we win it and you're Daniel Levy and you're the board of directors, you're going to say, well, hold on a second. We didn't spend much wages. We didn't really buy any elite players, lots of kids. And look what we've achieved. The model works. The system works. Do you know what? Let's remind the fans what we did to get here. And so many fans will jump on that. So many fans will be, you know what? They've got a point. We've won a trophy. They did say to us, be patient, wait. Once the stadium's built, once we get past COVID, they've got a plan. They're going to turn around to us, the board, and say, we told you we had a plan. You see what happens? You don't need to spend big. You don't need high wages. You just need the right manager. And Ange was the right manager. And you know what? This model is proven. We're going to go down the same path with the same model. Maybe a different manager. And that will be a disaster. That will be a disaster. But this is why I'm torn, Savva, because if we win it, that's all I want as a fan, trophies. But it then gives a mandate. It gives a green light to the board to approve this type of model, which we know stinks. What do we do? Like, as fans, we're damned if we do, we're damned if we don't. I don't know another fan base that's in this kind of a situation other than us.
Yeah, because most clubs would win this and then kick on, but we just know we won't, and that's what Spurs do. Look, got a few. Listen, I think it's an interesting theory. Look, let me go to a few comments and then a few questions. Big up to each and every one of you. We are getting really bad over on this channel at smashing the like button, like really bad. It's free. I'm not asking any of you to spend money with me. It's free. We got 79 likes. There's nearly 400 in here. We should have 200 likes. Come on. This is
Savva, everyone smash the likes, hit the subscribe. I just want to say, because people in the challenge are pushing back on what I said. Listen to what I've said. That's not what I think. That's what I think the board will think. In the board's eyes, they would have won a trophy and got back into the Champions League, which is where they want to be financially. They don't give a shit about 16th, 17th if they've managed to get back into Champions League. It almost nullifies it. And they've given the fans a trophy to shut them up for a bit. If I'm on the board of directors and I'm just thinking business, forget football and love of winning, building a winning club for many, many years to come. If I'm on that board of directors, I'm thinking this model's great. They pay their season tickets. They buy the merch. They come to all the games. We've given them a trophy. We're back in the Champions League.
Yeah.
Why increase the wage bill for players? Why spend more on experienced talent when the youngsters kind of somehow fitted into a few gaps and we got what we wanted out of it? I'm saying it as if I'm a board member, not as if that's what I want. You know, I hope people get that. I'm trying to put myself in their shoes, and my biggest fear is if we do win the Europa, which I want us to win, Levy's going to see it as a green light to just, like you said, we're in the Champions League. We don't need to push on. Just repeat what we did last year. We'll find a way again because the model works, right?
No, absolutely. Look, couple of comments. Let's go with the super chats first. Big up to Anthony Clark, always with the super stickers, every single show. Big up to you, my man. 3 things in life guaranteed: death, taxes, and then Anthony Clark. Super sticker. Big up to you, my man. Really appreciate that. Andy Lester has said, top show. The crash was less painful than the manager. Good. I'm glad it wasn't anything too serious, my man. Hopefully the car survived as well. Let us know. Big up to you. Really appreciate that. Stephen X, wasn't a question, but for me, I keep seeing this written everywhere saying Savva finishing 17th and qualifying for the Champions League by winning Europa League You'd have had a more successful than a team who finished second and win nothing. Now, Stephen, I think this for me is very short-sighted. And what I mean by that is if Spurs win the Europa League, right, and get Champions League, and Arsenal finish second, which they probably will, don't win the Champions League, but still go into the Champions League, they, for me, have had a better season. And I'm going to tell you why. Because the difference is they will use it as a springboard. They will do what they've done the last couple of years of using it as a springboard to invest in the club big time. They've already got a brand new director of football, Berta, who's very good. He's a very good, very well-respected director of football. And watch what they do this summer compared to Spurs. I get it. We would have won a trophy. They wouldn't. But let's be fair. They're competing in a competition where we wouldn't have made it out of the league table. We would have been beaten about 15-0 every Champions League game. So I hear what you're saying, but for me, this is mental mathematics, if you will. Zumac always has a pop at me. I like Zumac. It says, when does the manager bingo stop? 64 years without a title. If not Ange, which one will finally make you two jump on board and support the team? 34 so far, manager in. Zumac, I can't begin to tell you how stupid this sounds. First and foremost, Stel and I support the team. We don't rate the manager and the owners. There's a huge difference. And I know which channel you've come from. I get it. I know where you've come from to say this notion that Savva and Stel don't support the team. I support the team. I don't rate the manager. I have no faith in the manager. Tomorrow night, I will be supporting Tottenham and hope we beat Bodo Glimt. I don't support Angepostecoglou. Second of all, 64 years without a title. Well, that's not changing anytime soon, is it, my man? 64 years without a title. That's not changing. We're currently, as Stel and I sit here right now, let me just do some quick maths. We're currently 45 points off the title. If my maths works, 37.82, we are 45 points off the title. So please, let's not talk about managers that are going to come in and be anywhere near a league title right now, because your manager has put us so far backwards that I would be amazed at who wants to come here right now. Right?
Can I answer this?
Go for
actually?
Go for it.
So, first of all, Zumac, you say, when does the manager bingo stop? It stops when we hire the right manager and back that manager. We've never hired the right manager and backed him. We've never done those two. Right now, we've backed a manager who's the wrong manager. We had the right manager in Conte. We didn't back him. So when you hire the right manager and back the manager, that's when the manager bingo stops. 64 years without a title, but we won trophies and cups in that period. FA Cups, Carabao Cups, League Cups. Sorry, Sam, can you back up just 1 second?
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Sorry, bear with me, mate.
That's all right.
I did not mean to do that.
Because there's one last bit he said that I wanted to address as well.
Yeah, sorry.
Savva messing up the show. Can't get the right
I know,
host.
I've messed up my own show. I didn't even mean to do that.
Host.
What moment was it? When was it? Hang on, I think I'm getting close to it. He mugged me off ages ago. I saved it ages ago. I know exactly where he's come from as well.
I think the last thing he said was, just get behind the team for once or something like that. I backed Poch. This be here. Finally, you two jump on board and actually support the team. I supported the team when Poch was here for 5 years. I didn't want him fired. I supported the team when Jose was here. I didn't want him sacked before the cup final. I was one of very few who backed Conte. Even when he stopped backing himself, I still backed him. I've always backed the team. So what you're saying isn't just lies. It's manipulative to create a narrative about us that's not true. That's weasel behavior, bro. Like, why do that? And as for Ange, if you go back onto Tottenham away, I backed Ange all of last season. I said he gets 1 season to settle in, get to know the players. He's lost Harry Kane without a replacement. I give him 1 year. But if he signs Timo Werner again, he can fuck off. He signed Werner. Look at us now. So to say back the team once and for all, I've been doing it all my life. I'm just sick of the same repetitive failure because the club either doesn't back a manager or they hire the wrong manager. Right? We shouldn't have hired Ange. He's not good. He's crap.
Right? I hate this.
Why can't we just admit we've people make mistakes? We made a mistake hiring good managers, and we've made a mistake keeping a crap manager. That's what's happened.
I think the problem is I think people are I've got very short memories. You know, as I said, you backed Conte. I was from day one. Still, we had difference of opinions on Conte. I said there was no point being here. Absolutely no point. The guy being here, he signed a short-term contract. You were like, no, this is the right guy. But cool, right? So this nonsense that no one's backed. I loved Harry Redknapp. I could not have been happier when Harry Redknapp was manager of this club. So this notion that we don't back managers, it makes me laugh that what they mean is back this manager. That's what they mean. It's not when are you going to back the team? It's when are you going to back this manager? Big up Alex, by the way.
Savva, what has this manager done for us to back?
Mate, nothing. I can't stand him. Nothing.
Do you know what? Guys, I'll tell you what. I don't know if you lot watch any other Arsenal channels just to see what goes on there. I do. I want to see what's going on because they're our arch rivals. I hate them. Yes, today, Turkish, that young guy they've got on the channel, the black dude with the dreads, and Lee Judges. They did a podcast called Arsenal Forever, right? And the first question they asked was, were the fans on it? Did the fans let down the team? Did the fans properly back Arsenal against PSG? And then they got a lot off their chest with this one. But the conclusion was the team has got to show us something to want to get behind as well. It's all good and well going in there, singing songs, banging drums, having big flags. Great. But if the team is awful at defending, if the players can't beat a man, if the players beat a man but can't cross, if we're missing the target from 5 yards out every single week, how do you back that? How does a fan back that? And that's what they said about their club. And they're second in the league saying that. But if we say it's 17th, it's a problem. It's crazy.
But the thing is, what makes me laugh is I feel
Savva,
like
it's insane. It's wild. It's wild.
Still, even people that I really like Phil Coys, like Alex, some of the things they're saying, it's as though they don't know Levy and Enoch. Like I'm mind blown. Like he's saying, in no way do I agree, Sav, because they've bottled 3 leagues on the bounce. Now, the way I look at Arsenal this year, I think they bottled the league. In the last 2 years, I just don't think they were as good as Manchester City. This year, though, with Man City having the epic drop-off, I think they've bottled it, right? But when you're saying the game is about glory firsthand, Alex, what you've got to remember is for the last 3 years, what Arsenal have been doing, and I know we want to laugh at them still, I know we can have the banter, but what Arsenal have been doing the last 3 years is building a squad capable of touching distance, of winning a title 3 years in a row, Alex, right? So when we're going to sit here and go, oh, it's about glory first hand, competing second hand, let's be brutally honest. Which position would you rather be in right now as a football club, Arsenal or Spurs? Be brutally honest still. Who would you rather be right now if you looked at both clubs, at the state of the finances, league position, squad, personnel, manager, owners? It's not us, is it?
I'll be brutally honest. Arsenal have got their shit back together. They've got a good squad. They've got good crop of youngsters coming through. They've bought good players in the transfer window. A couple of ones that I'm not so sure about. But for me, when I call them bottled jobs and I say Mikel Arteta, trust me, he's going to bottle it, I do it all because I know I trigger the Gooners. And I know I'll get a reaction. And I know even when they know that I'm saying it to them, they still get rattled by me because when they don't win something, I've got them. But this is the truth. If they sign a proper striker, which they failed to do for 3 years, I will shit my pants because for me, all they're missing is a killer up top. If they sign a killer, this team could win the lot. They could win the lot, assuming they don't lose any players this summer. That's all they're missing. So I go in hard for Arteta, bottle jobs, because I know they haven't got the striker up front. if they went and signed Gyökeres this summer, Savva, I'm going to brick it. I genuinely am going to be shit. This isn't good.
You know what? Stel.
That's me being really honest with everyone who watches the show, right? That's been my tactic for 4 years.
Stel, in our WhatsApp group, do you remember the day they signed Berta? Right? The first thing I did was message in our group and said, they're serious. They've gone and got a top director of football. Now, let's be brutally honest. This is a top director of football that would have gone in and would have said, well, what are the plans? Yeah, what are the plans? Are you going to listen to me? Look at his contacts. Look at the players he found for Atletico Madrid from across world football, South America, Europe, right? This is, don't get me wrong. I'll love nothing more than we win a trophy and they don't this year. But our fans,
fantastic.
We're literally being really shameless if we're turning around and saying, oh, we're better than them because we've won the Europa League, while this is a team that are going to have finished second 3 years in a row, right? When we finished second, we put Poch there and said, oh, my God, we should have won a league. When they do it, they've bottled it.
Right. So you're right. You're absolutely correct. I wouldn't argue that. But it's different with Arsenal because they've done this to themselves. Because when we won nothing under Poch, but came second Champions League final, bottled it and all that. But what have you won? But what have you won? But what have you won? So now they've spent 800 million, 5 years, trust the process. If they keep losing, I'm gonna hit them with that same stick, but twice as hard. So they've done that to themselves. Yeah, it's banter. Yeah, it's banter.
My point is, Stel, there's football banter and there's football bias. Then there's taking a step back, having a look from a.
They're the better team. Arsenal, the better team, better club. 100%.
Right now,
the way they run is better than us. It's better than us. It is.
I'm at the stage right now where I don't think a single one of our players gets in their team. Right now, the worrying thing for me about that, people might want to argue one or two. The reason I've said that, Stel, is that worries me that when we had Poch, we were better than Arsenal. And we are now in a position where 5 years later, I'm sitting there going, I don't know if I can find a way for one of our players to get in above any of theirs. Now, people will go, him. I'm talking in general. In general, I look at that Arsenal squad and go, yeah, you had 2 or 3. You worry me. That's why I said at the beginning of this transfer window, Arsenal didn't do enough this window. They didn't do enough. My worry is with Berta, they're going to.
Well, I don't understand why they haven't signed a killer. You know, Stefan and we've been having these arguments for 2 years, and he keeps saying to me, no, what we just need is another wide forward. I said, Stefan, you create a lot of chances. Your XG in a lot of games is so goddamn good. In the FA Cup against Man United, you had a ridiculous XG. You don't, even against PSG, you had chances to actually win that game. Martinelli and Trossard, they didn't put it in the back of the net. Now, if you've got a killer, you're going to PSG either with a slim lead or a draw, because you just about did enough to get a goal, but you didn't. Why? Okay, brilliant goalkeeping by Donnarumma. PSG, good game management to a good away performance in Europe. But the chances you had, I honestly believe, I've seen that too often from Arsenal, where they don't get something out of a game. They've had chances, but there's no killer up top. And that's why I know they'll keep bottling it because of that. But if they go and sign a player that can score, mate, they are literally going to be knocking on the door, if not going through the door, in at least one competition. They will.
And this is the difference, Stel.
They will. They've got the squad for it. They've got the squad.
Watch tonight when Barcelona get a chance and they've got a killer up front called Lewandowski. Yeah,
exactly.
Right? This is the difference, right? If Arsenal had Lewandowski in this team, I think they would have won it all. That's the difference. And this is fine lines, fine margins. But look, I'm not saying they don't need more, by the way. I still think they need a bit of depth. But Arsenal, for me, you're right.
Here's the question. Here's the question to prove you're right. Go on. Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, if they get a 30, 25 plus goal striker, I think the league is in trouble. Now, I'm not knocking City. I've already said I think City are back to probably winning it or thereabouts next season. Liverpool, Salah, Van Dijk have both re-signed. Yeah, let's see how good they are next year. Next year is going to be interesting because next year you're going to start to see, right? Next year you're going to start to see Slot's own team. You've got to remember, this isn't Slot's Liverpool. So sometimes it's easier when it's not your own team because it was already there. So you're going to start to see Slot's own team. This isn't Curtis Shaw, surely. No, it's Curtis Shaw, W. Yeah, too many W's. I was going to say that's not the Curtis Shaw. But
look,
listen, No, I was going to finish on saying, like Alex in the chat, you've said Liverpool will win it again next year when they sign like Isak. Liverpool aren't signing Isak. Who do you think in world football, Alex, has got the money to go and sign Alexander Isak from Newcastle? Newcastle, who are going to be in the Champions League, will go 160. Why on earth would they? Don't you think still? I reckon they're going to go, you want him? 160. By the way, we want 130 of it up front. Why are they going to sell it?
Yeah. Strikers are very sought after at the moment. So there's a shortage of quality strikers. So his price tag will be high. I just think that if Spurs do win the Europa and Arsenal win nothing, then we've had a more successful season. But Arsenal are, without a doubt, the better club and the better team. They've got it on us. And a good way to kind of look at it is this. By the way, Arsenal, if you don't win anything and we do, I'm coming for all of you, right? You know what I'm like. I am going to come for all of you. Just like you'd do the same to me if you win the Champions League. If Spurs were playing PSG last night, what do you think that scoreline looks like? That's all I'm going to say.
If what, sorry?
If Spurs played PSG last night, what do you think that scoreline looks like? Just be real about it. If we played PSG, forget Liverpool, Anfield, we've been ripped to shreds.
Mate, it's look, I think football's interesting, but we'll get to another question in a minute. But I think football's interesting because there are right now moments and there are bigger picture moments. And I think we're so starved of success that what we're doing is looking for the right now moment rather than where we are as a club. So when I'm seeing all these people, like Phil Coys thinks we're going to win the Europa League and kick on. It's like, sorry, when have you ever seen Daniel Levy get in the Champions League and go, this is the summer? When have you ever seen him do that? So I just think people need a little dose of reality. And listen, I love Phil, but he can't stop saying these things when you're like, evidence, 25 years of evidence. Daniel Levy will do what he does. If we get in the Champions League this year, Daniel Levy will do what he normally does. He will buy a few players from smaller clubs that are the better player in that team, i.e. a Richarlison type, right? Our fans will do what they always do still. They will find a way to make videos about why he's perfect and why this guy fixes Tottenham. Then when it doesn't work out, they will completely come back and go, but he wasn't backed, right? It's our fan base doesn't learn. We never learn.
We never
ever. Learn. We never learn. Let's get to another question. We never ever learn. It's just like if my wife cheated on me every night, and I think, go out tonight, love. I know you won't cheat on me tonight. Just go out. Yeah, but I've cheated on you for the last 24 nights out. Yeah, but this is different. This is different. This one, you go and knock yourself out.
It's changed. Things have changed this time.
Things have changed. Yeah, we don't learn. Our fans don't learn. It's the same. I always use this. It's the Matisse Tell conversation. We don't learn. If we go and spend 40, 50 million on Matisse Tell this summer, that's going to be most of our transfer budget. But fans still say, buy him plus 4 or 5 more. That money's not there. Anyway, look, let me go to some questions. We've got some super chats. Big up to Queen Ellie Hoiberg. The 99p sticker. You could have put that, instead of giving it to me, towards Hoiberg's airfare home, because right now I'll have him in the team. Ellie, you were right all along. Get him back in the midfield, Ellie. Much love to you. I really appreciate you, Ellie. Vineet said, question, don't you think English fans need a reality check? Oh, yes. Amen all day long. They mock other leagues as farmer leagues, overhype players like Bellingham and Rice over talents such as Pedri, Gavri. Vineet, I am with you 100 1,000 million gazillion %. English fans and the arrogance of not knowing other leagues and other teams is painful. That's just my opinion. Stel might have a different one.
No, I agree. There's a lot of talent across Europe. That's why 60% of Premier League players aren't English.
There we go. There we go. Vineet, listen, I agree with you. Listen, players, I mean, I saw earlier this season, Vineet, people were saying that Bergval's better than Pedri and Gavi of Barcelona. And I was like, oh, I don't know what we're doing here. But Spurs fans weren't having it. Nah, Bergval. It's like, whoa. That's Pedri and Gavi of Barcelona and Spain. But hey, it's what we do. Big up to you, Vineet. Where are we? A question. Ellie has said, Savva and Stel, which 3 players would you most like to leave with Ange? Oof,
Only 3.
With him.
Only 3.
Only 3.
Well, Ben Davies, I don't know why he's still at the club. I don't want him here. I'll get rid of Ben Davies. I don't understand it. I've never understood it. That's 1. 2, I would get rid of Matthias Tel. I don't know why we even signed him in the first place. I have no idea. All we've done is block Mikey Moore's progression. And I would get rid of either Richarlison or Solanke. You can pick. I don't care. I'd get rid of one of the strikers. In fact, do you know what? No, yeah. I'll stick with that.
Yeah. Listen, I'm very much. I'm at the point now where I want players that don't want to be here gone. For me, Romero's down tools. I think he needs to go reinvest. By the way, we might have to. There's going to be a few questions on this about, having to sell to buy, and Romero is going to be a saleable asset. So unfortunately, I would go with him. I would go Richarlison for me. Yes, absolutely. I would say Solanke, but I think we've just spent so much on him that they're not going to do that in one season. And the next one for me, I would let Bentancur go. I've not seen for years what this man does. So I would let Bentancur go. There's many others I could put in that list, but you did say 3. Ali has said, Savva, you do realise their sporting director told Rodri he wasn't good enough for Atleti, released him, and then Atleti bought him back. Ali, I mean, listen, I'm not saying every sporting director is spotless. I mean, that's like saying I think Pep Guardiola is the best manager in the world and that I don't think he's ever made a mistake. Their sporting director also signed them a plethora of top players, like over and over and over again, very cheap. I genuinely don't know. Jordan said Lewandowski is not clinical. This has got to be the dumbest comment I've heard today. For my own peace of mind, I'm going to have a look at how many goals Lewandowski has scored in his non-clinical career, Stel, just so that I know how unclinical this man is. Stel, are you ready?
Lewandowski is not clinical. Like, Jordan, really?
To be fair, he's only got 641 goals in 890 league games and 85 in 158 internationals.
Lewandowski is one of the best strikers in world football over the last 5 to 10 years, man. Like, really? Lewandowski?
Wow.
He's been super. He came to White Hart Lane against prime Spurs and dicked all over us. Mate, Lewandowski, how old is he? He's about to win La Liga with Barca. He's in the semi-finals of the Champions League. These are the 2 highest levels of football, and he's doing the business.
And
he's doing the business.
And he is 36. He's nearly 37 in 4 months. He's 37 in 4 months. And I'm being told this man isn't clinical.
Jordan, I don't know what you're smoking there. That's actually a wild thing to say. That is absolutely wild.
Phil Coy's desperate in his pursuit. This is what I love about this guy. He still wants to sign Matisse Tel. Still, let's talk about this and then we'll go to a few more questions. We know we're going to have to sell some to buy some. We know we are, right? We're being told in no uncertain terms in Daniel Levy's message to the when the finances came out about a month ago. It's all coming out again now. We've still got fans like Phil that want to waste our transfer budget on 19-year-olds like Matisse Tell. Let that sink in. Then this very same person saying Daniel Levy will use this to use winning the Europa League to kick on, but wants to buy 19-year-olds that have done nothing. Mate, I'm baffled by. I think people like this just chat shit for fun.
Phil Coys is wrong. He's wrong here because Mikey Moore's creative stats are all higher than Mateus Tell's based on number of games played. The only stat Tell wins on is he scored one more goal than Mikey Moore, and that was a penalty. So if you take that penalty away, they're equal on goals scored, and Mikey Moore has played 2 months less football to equal Tell's goal scoring, and the amount of goal scoring opportunities that Mikey Moore's created is more than Tell. To say Tell is further along is categorically incorrect. Tell has come in for £10 million to impact the team. There's only 4 months of the season left from the day he signed. He signed end of January, so February, March, April, May, 4 months. What impact has Tell had? He's been nothing short of a flop. Mateus Tell has not had the impact that anyone expected. When you think of when Kulusevski and Bentancur joined at the end of January under Conte, they had an instant impact. They were scoring, they were creating, and we got top four. Bentancur and Kulusevski gave us that boost to get top four. Since Tell's come, we've actually got worse in the league. So to say Tell is further along the lines, further down, is further on than Moore, it's categorically incorrect. It's shambolic, actually. We've wasted £10 million on Tell. We've wasted £10 million on Kinski. I think he played 2 games and got demoted back to the bench. So, yeah, I don't want Tell at this club. For me, Mateus Tell is very average. He hasn't impacted the team. And like I said, creative stats, chances created, goal scoring opportunities created, even assists to the assist, the XG to the XG, he's higher. And he's played less games. So there's no evidence, none, to prove that Tell is further on.
It's utter madness, though. But still, do you know my biggest issue with this? My biggest issue with this is the same fan that 10 minutes ago in the chat said that Daniel Levy will use winning a Champions League to kick on, but wants to sign unproven 19-year-olds. Again, like, why are we not learning?
Like even this, it's not going to be 50 million. Right, let's say it's 30 million. Why would you spend 30 million on a player that's done nothing?
Yeah.
Why would you spend 10 million on a player that's done nothing? What? Surely we need to spend the money on players that can come in and actually impact us now. We can't have any more youngsters in this team. It's crying out for experience. It's crying out for a household name. It's crying out for some leaders, man.
See,
more kids, more. Yeah, but these are elite. They're elite kids. That's different. They're proving it.
But my point is, if we're going to talk about let's win a Europa League so that we kick on. Forget Nico Williams. I think he'll go bigger. Turn around and go and try and get Alex Buena. Go and try and get the playmaker Sancet. I always get his name wrong. It's Sancet for Bilbao.
Is that the Bilbao guy?
Yeah, right.
He's decent.
If you want to kick on, go and buy these players. But we've got fans going, Tell, I see something in him.
What do you see?
My God.
What do you see?
About everyone. I see something in him. But you know what? These are the same fans, Stel, that next year, when we're not doing well, we'll go, yeah, but Levy didn't back the manager. Well, look, we know even if we win the Champions League, there is not going to be a huge budget next year still. We know that, right? By whether that's right or wrong, we know there's not. And I think you're going to have to see the likes of Son and Romero go so that we can spend. I think you're going to have to see it happen.
Look, Romero's gone, whatever happens. I don't think he's going to be here next year. I think this is it. It's his final season. In terms of keeping players, It all depends on that Europa. The financials completely change if we win the Europa, but we can't do another window of kids. We can't do it. We've taken a massive hit this year doing this silly project. We need leaders in midfield. We need proper. You watch Kvaratskhelia for PSG the other night. Fuck my life. Nobody at Spurs even comes close, man. Not even close. You know, that's the level of winger that we should be aspiring to try and have. Okay, we're not going to get that, but something that can maybe get there. Beats his man, comfortable on the ball, tracks back. He crossed the ball to Dembele on the outside of his boot. He scooped it to the guy. Could you imagine Timo doing that? He'd break his ankle. Johnson would trip over, you know. I can't do any more kids, Savva, unless we sign an elite level kid that we all know, like, you know, Yamal, which we're not going to get. We need to start signing some Embuemo, these kind of players. They're in the Premier League, Embuemos, Matetas. They're in the Premier League. They're not elite, but we can get them. That's what we need to do. If we don't do that, God help us, man. Like, honestly, God help us. It's going to be awful. It's going to be awful. And this year was already awful.
But the thing is, we've already got our own kids to develop. You've already got Moore. You've already got Donnelly. Right? We've already got Williams Barnett, who's, I know he's 16 and coming through. Let's coach them still, and then use our transfer budget for what we need. Like, why are people still after bang average 19-year-olds that have proved nothing? He don't stop. He doesn't stop. Like, you do, Phil, you do realise how small our budget's going to be in the summer, right? And you want 25 million of it going. I can't do it with him anymore. He's got no ambition.
We are not. But Bayern Munich are not going to sell for 25 million. Bayern Munich will not sell for 25 million.
Let's go. I've got a couple of super chats here, I think. Apologies if I've missed any. I've got two coming up here. Big up to Dunkle's Dork. How you doing, my friend? Not seen you for a while. Said, evening, guys. Thanks, Stel, for what you said on Charlie's pot yesterday. If reality is not balanced, a balanced debate won't show reality. Oh, that's all very philosophical. Let me start that again. If reality is not balanced, a balanced debate won't show reality. What's happened here, Stel?
So I was on big up to No Filter TV, young Charlie. I was on his podcast yesterday, and what I said was, I'm sick to death of everyone having balanced debates, because where has that got us? We all, you know, people just sit there, you know, let's have a nice balanced debate. It's all balanced. It's all, yeah, I see your point of view. Yeah, you make a good point there, but can I just add to that? Fuck that. Where has that got us? Where has that got us? What we need is some leadership as fans. I want Levy out. There's there's no balance. I want him gone, or I want Ange out, and this is why. I'm going to put lots of substance behind receipts, evidence. I'm going to back it up. I want him gone. It's the ones that, well, I want Levy in, but I want Levy to change. I want Ange in, but I want us to be more patient. This sit on the fence balance bullshit, I called it out because it's killed us. People are so obsessed with having balanced debate so that people go, oh, that was a really balanced show. I really enjoyed that. Great. Where's that got us as a club? We're going backwards with your balance. We need some proper decision-making. At least people that say, you know, that backhands to the end. I think they're deluded, but at least they've taken the side. At least this is where I stand with it, and I'm going with it. You know what I mean? I think you're mad, but it's the ones that sit in the middle, Savva. You know, I like to be balanced. Where does that get you? Where has that got us? You know,
I completely agree.
Tell time. He's only 19. No, I don't want him. I don't want us to spend 50 million on a punt. I don't want a balanced chat about Tell. He's done nothing to prove to me that we should pay 50 million. 50 million. 40 million.
Your punts should be your Bergvals. 10 million euros,
correct,
whatever it was. That's your punt. So that if it goes wrong, you go, all right, I can get my 10 million euros back. Your punt is not going to Bayern Munich, taking a player like this. Look, I'll caveat like I always do.
Why don't Bayern want him? Why don't Bayern Munich want him?
But either way, I'm not saying in 2, 3, 4 years, Tell won't be a really good player. I don't know. But what I'm saying is, when are we going to stop worrying about, or with a bit of coaching, when are we going to go, you know what? Like right now, if I said to you, would you take Semenyo from Bournemouth? Right? Who are you taking? Tell or Semenyo? A player that's doing it in the Premier League, scoring goals, getting assists. 25, maybe, I reckon he is. Yeah. Mbeumo, Semenyo, right? Why do our fans naturally gravitate to, Tyler Dibbling, Matisse Tell? Why are we allergic to grown-ups? Why are we not allowed
50 million? Get 50 million. Get me João Pedro from Brighton.
It's just absolutely.
Go get me Mateta. Crazy. Go get me Mateta to play on the wing. Go get Mateta from Brighton to play on the wing. Go get him.
It's madness. It's madness. Super chat as well from Vindaloo. Loves a troll. Oh, look, I think this is a humble super chat from you, Vindaloo, for once. Said, Savva Stel, Arteta out. I am gutted. And in. Catch you later, lads. Yeah, listen, Vindaloo, you've got a lot of work to do in that second leg. And I'm afraid they are devastating at home. So, as I said to a few of the Arsenal creators that I work with weekly, you all ask for your apologies way too soon after beating Madrid. Ask for your apologies when you've won it. If that's what people want to do, ask for them when you've won it. But big up to you, my man. Thank you for being a good sport. And never, ever write Anjin again on my screen, please. It offends me. Still, let's go to a question here. This is a good one. Big up to my man, Avi, who has the biggest biceps in YouTube thumbnail history. Big up to you, Avi. Always tells me off when he sees me eating shit on stream. Big up to you. Said, how and why do you think the club was so rushed to give Bergvall the extension? Can I give a quick 20-second answer to this and you tell me if you disagree?
Yeah.
Because I think he's the one young player I think we've all gone, there's something there. Tie him down now so that if we do lose him and if a big club does come in, they've got to pay more because he's got 6, 7, 8 years on a contract. I'm going that harsh with it.
And lock him in now on a low-paying salary. He doesn't command a high salary. So, yeah, it's all financial, isn't it? It's a financial decision.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, guys, just going back to what we were saying just now. So, Fabrizio Romano broke the news the other day that Man United are the favourites and they're in talks to sign Matheus Cunha of Wolves. Let's let these levels be seen. Man United, Spurs having shit seasons in the same position in the Champions League, in Europa League. Man U are talking about Matheus Cunha. Spurs are talking about Matisse Tell. Like, these are the levels still. This isn't even a Man United as though when you and I were growing up, a Man U that was sweeping everyone before them. They're looking at Cunha. We're looking at Tell. That's the complete levels for me of this game.
It's chalk and cheese. Apple and oranges. It's completely different. You can't compare. I think Gyökeres, if he goes to United, a big pull is the fact that he played for Amorim at Sporting, so they know each other. And Amorim's just tapping up players from his old club. I'd like to see what Man United actually do if they're not in Europe next season and they don't win the Europa. I'd like to see what actually happens because at the moment it's all talk. But look, man, they've got pull. Man United have always got pull because they're prepared to pay wages. They're prepared to pay. And it goes a long way in football. So, but in terms of quality, yeah, Cunha's, I think Arsenal wanted him at one point, didn't they? I think there's a lot of clubs that would take Cunha.
Damn right.
He scored against us the other day. He scored the 4th goal against us. He's a player. Cunha's a player. It'd be silly not to have him. And he's Premier League proven. He's got the physical attributes for the game as well. He's a solid signing. Anyone who gets Cunha in the Premier League that's a solid signing.
Alex, this is what bothers me so much about your era. Sorry, I'm going to call it out because I think you're a lot younger than me. This GA thing. If you offer me Johnson or Semenyo, there is not any part of me that puts Brennan Johnson above Antoine Semenyo as a player. You're telling me that we can't have Antoine Semenyo because we've got. What are we doing? I genuinely have no idea what we're doing here. I genuinely don't. By the way, I'm taking Mbeumo over Semenyo. But my point is, we can't go from Mbeumo to Matisse Tell. You know, I'm looking at wingers who are available. When I say available, wingers that would be obtainable. I think someone like a Semenyo, like an Mbeumo. I don't want to buy Matisse Tell at any price. Just madness.
I think Johnson is very, very good at popping up from close range to put the ball into an empty net in this particular system that Ange plays, right? However, Semedo causes havoc. He pulls players out of position. He opens up spaces. He allows the game to be played for his teammates. Whereas Johnson, without people doing all the work for him, what does he offer? And I think that's the difference. And you've got to decide, what would you rather prefer? Someone that's a one-trick pony, tap-in merchant who pops up at the right place often? Or do you want someone that's going to actually dictate the direction of a game on the flanks that can allow his teammates to do their thing? You got to take your pick, you know.
But you know what, still, I think a lot of people don't understand tactics in football, because I'm talking about, if you get a proper manager in that wants wide men that actually do wide men stuff, Brennan Johnson can't do what Semenyo can do. But if you're asking Semenyo to get in the box and score goals like Johnson, yes, he can. We've seen him score goals this year. So one can do both, but one isn't, you know, at the moment, Brennan Johnson we've seen can't. This whole GA thing,
I think it's fair to say. Mad. I think it's fair to say Johnson is a system player. Semenyo is a player.
But I completely agree. Completely
agree. I think that's probably the best way to look at it.
This is where we're at. We're sitting here finding reasons why you would not pick these players over Brennan Johnson. Like, that's where we're at still. I'm truly.
I've never liked Brennan Johnson as a footballer. I can't stand Johnson as a player. I watch him and I think I've never once got off my seat watching him play. Even when he runs down the wing into empty space, I've never once got off my seat. I refuse. Yeah. It's just not. It's nothing. He's just there, isn't he? He's just there. He gets his tap-ins and everyone loves him.
The thing is, I see every season we dismiss people like Semenyo. By the way, I'm not going to die on a hill for Semenyo. If you ask me right now, would I have him as my right winger? Absolutely. Absolutely, he walks into our team. My problem is, right? My problem is that every year we seem to do this with players. I remember we talked last summer about Sander Berg. Nah, he wouldn't get in above Bentancur. He wouldn't get in above Basuma. I remember we did this with Livramento. I remember having a debate with Sean about Livramento. I said Livramento would walk into our team at right back or left back. Nah, he's not good enough. I remember having debates with people about Milenkovic at Nottingham Forest. Nah, he's not. Sometimes you've got to sign players that don't reinvent the wheel, but are consistently good. Do you know what I mean? Semenyo for me is a 7 out of 10 player. Every game, get the ball to him on the right. I know what he's going to do. I want better than that, but we're not going to buy better than that.
It's clear Spurs have bought wingers or wide forwards that have got pace. When the space opens up, they can just run in with the ball and just smash it into the box. And that seems to be the way we play. Whereas what we as fans want, we want someone that can actually take on the man rather than having to always, okay, let's shoehorn it back the other way or let's invert into the danger because we can't beat the man. There's too many times when we play where you just, at least Odebert, to his credit, has tried to take on men and has shown some glimpses of being able to do it at times. Not nowhere near enough, but at least he's shown he will give it a crack. Whereas, I don't know, Tell just runs into trouble. Johnson doesn't take on a man. Timo does, then he loses the plot. We've just got very basic wide players at Spurs, like just basic level. And for us, it doesn't work. And that's part of the reason, not the reason, but it's part of the reason we're so crap in the league.
I agree. And by the way, I mean, Matty, when you're saying, I feel like we've got a Semenyo, everyone will call him bang average. They can call him bang average, but the thing is, you look at him
He's
this
better
season.
than what we've got.
He's better than what we've got, and he's performed very, very well. And the difference is where you said here, you've got to remember that Brennan Johnson at Forest didn't play the wide right role. You've got to remember he wasn't a hug in the touchline winger. I feel like we've really got to understand tactics here. We've got to. Yeah. Spurs, for me, need a couple of wide men that are actual wide men that you know what you're going to get. For me, and if we're not going to sign Matoma, yeah? If we're not going to sign a Matoma, if you're not going to sign a Due, well, obviously because he turned us down, if you're not going to sign, these players, then you've got to have a look at
what about Kudus at West Ham?
Yeah, what's next best for me? That's what it is. But we do this every year. We do this every year with players that have done well, and we say, God, I'd take them. No, I wouldn't. He wouldn't get in our team. We do it every year still. Every year we do this.
Savva, honestly, I'm sick to the back teeth of defending average players, of fans defending average players. We've been doing it for too long, and we just constantly decline as a football club. One of the biggest reasons we've gone backward as a club is because we tolerate average players and we hype them up to be nothing that they really are. Nothing. We've been doing it for too long. I don't know. I can't think of more than 3 players since Poch left that we signed that genuinely get into Poch's team or Redknapp's team.
Say that again. Say that again. You can't think of...
Since Poch was fired, I can't think of 3 players we signed since then that would get into either Poch or Harry Redknapp's team.
I can't think of one. What I'm not putting a single player we've signed in the last 6 years in either Harry's team or Poch's team.
There you
not
go.
one.
That's the issue. That's one of the biggest issues. And we make out that they're all brilliant, or they're look at the GA, look at the ABC, look at the FG, look at the ZX1. Fuck me. Look at the results. Look at the performances. Look at that.
Not one. When I look, like if I look at the Harry team, right? Harry Redknapp did exactly what I'm talking about with players like Semenyo. I'm just using him as an example, by the way. I'm not saying, oh my God, please go and sign him, right? Harry Redknapp did exactly that. Harry Redknapp went out to clubs and went, cool, that Wilson Palacios, he'll do a job. Yeah, he's going to give me everything I need. I'm going to put my arm around him. He's going to do a job. Bang. In he goes. Brilliant for Spurs. Right? Scotty Parker, another one. Scotty Parker, another one. I remember at the time. I remember people at the time going, oh, is Parker that? Parker right now would be the best thing at the club. Right? He did that with, look, he got the best out of Aaron Lennon, did Harry Redknapp. Right? He got the best out of players.
What was that guy? Chorluka.
Absolutely, Chorluka. Nothing really went past Chorluka, right? Nothing really went past. What Chorluka didn't have was pace, right? But as a fullback, nothing really went past him. I'm going to say it now. Not a single player I can think of in the last 6 years that's represented Tottenham, or let's say since the 2019 Champions League final. And I'm not talking about some of the players like Vertonghen out of Ireland who were getting on at that stage. None of them, for me, get anywhere near those teams. Nowhere near it.
I think there's 3.
Because, sorry, Stel.
Yeah.
Matt, yes, Savva will say Morgan Rogers is a top player. And yes, Savva will say he's not attainable. Why would Aston Villa sell Morgan Rogers to Tottenham?
Yeah,
Why?
They're not getting paid.
Sorry, this drives me mad. Why would Morgan Rogers want to leave a club that's doing that to join Tottenham? What are you talking about?
It is, Matt. It's true. We're not going to attract players away from Aston Villa right now. We're not. They're just
stop. Please stop. Please stop. They sold Duran for PSR issues. They're not going to sell one of the brightest English talents in the country. Stop.
Matt,
Stop.
hold on,
This is silly.
Matty, you've just strawmanned the question.
Oh, gosh.
Right? Hold on. He's just strawmanned the question. The question was about players being attainable from Villa to Spurs. Duran went from Villa to the Middle East. That's not Spurs. You've strawmanned it into just players leaving Villa. We never said players won't leave Villa. We said they're not going to leave Villa to come to Spurs. That's the question. No player in their right mind would leave Villa to come to Spurs. That is a regression for their career. It's a regression for the level of football they'll be playing as well. Because if we're not in Europe next season, we're going to struggle to attract any players from any of the clubs that are in the top 6 or 7, I'd say.
So let me get this right. These people, right? People like Matty K, people like the other Matt as well in the chat, think that Morgan Rogers, after being at Aston Villa for 18 months, having impressed greatly, having broken into the England team, people think that Morgan Rogers is going to go, yeah, I'm going to leave Aston Villa with Unai Emery, Monchi as the technical director, owners that put in money and back them, a club that goes out and signs top players during a January transfer window is going to leave to go and join Tottenham Hotspur and Ange and Daniel Levy. What are we doing here? Is school shut? What's going on? What is happening here? This is beyond ridiculous at this stage.
Guys, we are not going to put up the money. Right? We don't pay big wages. How are we going to put up the money? We don't do it. It's not happening, is it? There's a bit of delusion here. Do you know what it is? We're make believing for the sake of make believing. We're not being serious. We're just saying, but if. Yeah, but if what's that saying? If my nan had balls, I'd call her granddad. Right? It's not happening, is it? It's not happening.
I've got no. Stel, right now, can you imagine any? By the way, when I'm not saying any Aston Villa player, because maybe some of their fringe players would, but can you imagine one of Aston Villa's first team players right now saying, "Yeah, I want to leave what we're doing here to go to Tottenham, who have lost 20 odd games this season."
The other thing as well is if a really good player like Rodgers wanted to leave Villa, his agent will find a better club that will take him.
Damn right.
And that's the reality. Because if Morgan Rogers says to his agent, I want out of Villa, or the club say, look, Morgan, we've got to let you go, his agent is going to say, right, let me pick up the phone to the top 6 clubs in the Premier League. Let me pick up the phone to some clubs in Europe. Spurs are quite low down that list before the agent says, right, they've all said no, Morgan, we've got to go Spurs. It's a reach. It's a real reach, that is.
Hang on. No, I'll tell you what, to be fair, they've got a point here, Stel. I mean, let's have a look. Honestly, this is our fan base summed up. No offense, Matty K and Matt, you've just summed up our fan base. Phil Coys did it as well with Tel. You're summing up our fan base and why we don't deserve nice things, right? Have a look at Aston Villa. Have a look at Tottenham Hotspur, right? Have a look at that, right? And that's not a one-off. They finished above us the last 2 seasons as well. And we have fans who believe that their better players will go, I know, if I leave Aston Villa, I'm going to Tottenham. Like, you're right, Stel. You're right. And I do feel, right? I do feel that a lot of people don't understand how transfers work. I have this conversation with people all the time. You are right, Stel. If Morgan Rogers, let's say someone wants Morgan Rogers, the first thing they're going to have to do is call up Morgan Rogers' agent. That's the first thing they'll do. They won't go to the club. They will go to his agent. They won't ring up the club. They'll ring up the agent and go, hey, so-and-so here from Tottenham. We're interested in Morgan. What you saying? I'm going to make this very basic for people to understand. His agent's going to turn around and go, Morgan has 3 options. 0 interest in leaving. He really wants to leave, or it would have to be a phenomenal bid to Villa and a phenomenal wage rise for him, right? What would happen is the moment that phone went down, even if he said Morgan is available, his agent would start going, hang on, that Man City. Morgan is thinking about leaving Villa. Is that Liverpool? Morgan is thinking about...
Exactly,
I don't know if people understand how this works. And the moment that Morgan Rogers goes, Morgan, imagine you're Morgan Rogers and I'm your agent still. I'll ring you up and go, Morgan, Spurs want you. Okay, interesting. So do Man City, so do Liverpool, so do Man United, so do Chelsea. Are you going to Spurs?
It's not happening.
These people don't get it. These people don't get how transfers work.
The time to call up Aston Villas and ask for Morgan Rogers is when we had Redknapp and we were in the Champions League, when we had Poch, we had a fantastic football team. That was the time. Yes. Strike when the iron's hot. Right now, the iron has melted. We don't know where we're going. It's looking quite bleak. We're depending massively on that Europa Cup. So we're not an attractive proposition right now for players who are established at other Premier League clubs in that top 6 bracket.
And again, listen, Matt, I mean, if you're saying about Morgan Gibbs-White, now for me, Morgan Gibbs-White is more obtainable than Morgan Rogers, because at the moment, you don't know, is Nottingham Forest a one-season wonder? Now, with Aston Villa, we've seen over the last 5 years that their trajectory has just gone like this. We've seen that Villa are getting better and better and better and better. They're bringing in great managers, great directors of football, top players. With Forest, it might be a bit different. But again, Morgan Gibbs-White, his agent will be all over it. The first thing he'll do is Spurs ring him up is, can I get Morgan a move? And again, you've got to remember, these are English players we're talking about. They will be a commodity. Still, they'll be a commodity. City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, they will look at the Morgan Gibbs-Whites and go, if
you're Morgan Gibbs-White, you're thinking two things. What's better for my career in terms of playing elite level football, Forest or Tottenham? Well, if Forest get into Europe, it's Forest. The second question he's going to ask himself is, what's going to give me the best chance to be on the radar of the England manager and get into the England squad? Well, it's Forest. Right. Because they're playing at a high level of football. So from an international and a domestic perspective, he's not leaving Forest to come to Spurs. Now, if it's purely about salary and Spurs are prepared to smash the bank, then there's maybe a conversation to be had. But Forest could easily up their wages to keep him as well, because they've got a chairman who's got a history of backing his teams. He did it at Olympiacos for 10 years. If Forest get Europe, they're going to back Nuno. So I don't think we can get Gibbs-White as it currently stands. If Spurs get into the Europa and Forest also only end up in the Europa and we bring in an exciting manager, maybe. But now, you're not leaving Forest for Spurs. You'll be a lunatic.
I'll tell you what, Stel, you can't write this. Sometimes things just happen when you're live that are good. Fabrizio Romano, in the last 120 seconds, that's 2 minutes for some of you, right, has tweeted this. I kid you not, Stel, you can't make this up, right? So for Matty and Matt, that both think we can get Morgan Rogers, listen to this. Fabrizio Romano has said, Morgan Rogers keeps attracting interest from several big clubs after an excellent season. Liverpool and Chelsea have both been monitoring him, considered as a top winger, but Aston Villa absolutely want to keep Rodgers. So there we've got, Villa don't want to sell him, but if they do, Liverpool, the champions of England, right, and Chelsea, old money bags, want him. But don't worry, we can just go and get Morgan Rogers from Aston Villa. It's
like I told you. If your grandma had balls, you'd call her granddad.
I can't believe Foxy.
Never. In fact, do you know what? Liverpool's a good shout for Morgan. It's a good shout.
So now let's play the hypothetical game still, right? I'm the agent. You can be the talent here. I'll just be the agent. I'll be the greedy agent. that gets all the money off your talent. You're Morgan Rogers. I'm your agent. Now I ring you up and I say, Morgan, I've had a call from a club. Okay, who is it? It's not Spurs, is it? No, it's not Spurs. Don't worry. Liverpool. Now all of a sudden you're going, oh, hang on. All the history. One of the biggest clubs in the world. Just won their 20th Premier League title. Playing with people like Van Dijk.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer. No-brainer.
Now, Morgan Rogers has got a decision to make. But, hey, Ange Postecoglou wants you. And he wants you to play alongside Matisse Tell. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's honestly, I love our fan base. Matty K, dude, I love you, mate. I know you're only young. I love you. But this notion that just paying the most gets these players, I think is a very misguided notion. This is a World Cup year as well. People have got to remember that. This is a World Cup year coming up next season. Players are going to say, what gives me the best possible chance? Yeah?
Yeah.
Morgan Gibbs-White, I think there's a conversation. Morgan Rogers, I can't see. Would you take Gibbs-White, by the way, from Forest?
Yes.
Yeah. No, I'm just asking.
Yeah. No, I would. Yeah, I think he's a good player. I think he's someone that can open up defenses. I like the way he can carry the ball. He can be effective in the transitions. I also think he's technically a good player. I liked him when he was at Wolves. I liked him when he was at Wolves. So yeah. Is he? Wow! What? No. But he's a good player. That's what he is. He's a good player. You know, you're going to get a 7, 8 out of 10 from him on a consistent basis, and that's a lot more than what. Yeah, cheers, Ramon.
Cheers, Ramon.
Yeah, no, yeah. I think all Spurs fans would take. In fact, we should have got him instead of Johnson. 50 million. We should have got Gibbs-White from Forest, not Johnson.
See, I think what people need to realise as well is, yes, players want money. But we've got to remember that gone are the days now still where only one or two clubs, like Man City and Chelsea, changed the game to begin with, right? Actually, if I'm going to be really old about it, I can go back to Blackburn changing the game, if I'm going to be really old about this. But in modern era, Chelsea changed the game with Abramovich, right? They changed the game. Then Man City got their owners and it was like, okay, right, now Chelsea and Man City can do it. Now we're at the stage where everyone's paying out massive wages. So this whole just put the money down and you get them, well, that's not strictly true anymore. If we're going to talk Saudi salaries, we're talking a different ball game. But this is what Danny and I always debate. I always say, just putting the money down doesn't get them. They're going to look now and go, are you in Champions League? Who else you buying? Because the first thing I would do, if I was using this scenario, if I'm Morgan Rogers' agent, the first thing I'm doing is going, cool, Morgan might be interested. Who else you signing this summer? Who are you signing?
Yeah, well, that's why Kane left. He wanted to see who we're going to sign, and he said,
right.
See you later. I've had enough. Yeah.
Exactly.
Players, exactly. Top players will look at that. There's no doubt.
Absolutely. Are you good for time still? I don't want to take your time up. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm okay.
Let's go to another question. I genuinely have no idea that people seem to think that this world is Football Manager. I truly don't. Guys, this isn't Football Manager. You don't put in a bid to the club. Just for anyone who wants to know how football agents work, please go and do some research. It's utterly crazy. Let's have a look at some questions. Alex has said, do you think that the Son injury is a load of bullshit and that he is refusing to play after telling Ange this isn't working? Is the Son injury a load of bullshit in your mind?
I doubt it. I reckon he's injured. I reckon he's got a knock. I reckon it's legit.
I can't see that. Knowing that we're 180 minutes away from a Europa League final, that he's going to burn those bridges of that length. I fail to believe it. He'll want to play and he'll want to be the one, if we do win it, lifting the title. Big up to you. Here's an interesting one. Barca versus Inter prediction. Oof. Stelios?
Sorry. Predictions. This is a difficult one because Inter Milan have got the best defensive record in the Champions League, and Barcelona arguably the best or second best attacking team in the Champions League. Barca and PSG have been phenomenal attacking wise in the Champions League, especially the knockout stages. So Inter are going to go to. Is the first leg in Barcelona?
Tonight is at the camp. Is Barcelona? Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, so Inter are going to go and shut shop. They're going to put 11 men behind the ball, stink it out, maybe try and get a counter, and Lautaro Martinez scores for them. That's going to be their game plan. Classic Inzaghi. And then they'll try and deal with Barcelona back in Milan. However, if Barca get through the defensive lines of Inter, they can punish them. So it's going to be difficult for Barca to break them down, I think, because Inter aren't going to give them a lot of space. And this is exactly what Inter did to Arsenal in the group stage. And Inter won 1-0, and I think Arsenal had something like 69% possession in the San Siro. It's whether Barca can break down a really, really good defensive machine. So I don't think it's a high-scoring game. I'm not sure if Inter can score because but then again, Barca do get. Do you know what? I'm going to go 1-0. I'm going to go 1-1.
I'm going to go 4-1 to Barcelona.
Woo!
Yeah.
How are they going to break down that defense though?
I've been watching Inter Milan this last 3-4 weeks. They look dead. They look like they're running on absolute empty for me. I watched them last week get beaten 3-0 at home by AC, who are not a great team. I watched at the weekend as they lost to, who'd they lose to? Was it Roma? They lost to at the weekend. Someone they lost to. They don't look at it for me. They don't look at it.
All right.
I thought Bayern opened them up. Should have knocked them out, in my opinion.
All right. When they played AC, both teams go for it. It's a derby. When they played in the league, Inter have to go for it because Napoli and them were toe-to-toe. They need to win the games. They don't need to win tonight. They can afford to go to Spain and just park the bus.
I agree.
You still think 4-1?
Yeah. I think Barcelona do their Barcelona kind of doing what they did when they had the famous team under Pep. They would blow teams away at the Camp Nou, and then away from home they'd be happy with a draw or a narrow defeat because they know in a one-off game they'll take anyone to the cleaners. Listen, I might be wrong. I think Barcelona win it comfortably tonight. I just think going forward, I mean, Yamal is just a joy to watch. He is I don't use this word on anybody.
Absolute
that
class.
Is generational. I haven't used that word for, I don't think, since Lionel Messi, if I'm honest. This boy is different gravy. Rafinha this year, by the way, is on fire. Rafinha looks like every time he touches the ball, it looks like he's going to score or assist.
Mate, that Pedri is wicked.
Pedri, Gavi, Daniel,
Gavi as well. Yeah. Pedri and Gavi are just brilliant. They've been brilliant.
They've just got they've got so many players. Listen, I could be wrong. They might get beaten tonight, but Matt, my mate Matt, again, you talk about Yamal. You're not seeing Fermin yet. I watch Barcelona every week. I've seen Fermin Lopez, very good player, not on Yamal's level. None of they've got amazing youngsters. None. Yamal is there on his own in world football. Yamal is, I don't know, anyone else, a 17-year-old as good as Yamal. Can anyone name me a 20-year-old as good as Yamal? Anyone name me a 21-year-old as good as Yamal?
Yeah, he's quality, man.
He's different, absolutely different class. Matisse Tell. Yeah, definitely Matisse Tell. I think they batter them tonight, and then I think Barca struggle next week but go through that. And I'm praying for a Barca PSG final. I think it'll be a brilliant Champions League final. That two really good teams.
I think PSG are going to win the champ. I think they're going to finally do it. I think PSG will finally do it.
Do you think they're going to beat Barca in a one-off game?
Only for one reason. Donnarumma is a massive difference. He did it for Italy. He's a match winner. He's a true match winner between the sticks. If there's one man you'd want in goal when playing Barca, it's probably Donnarumma. Mm-hmm. He can pull off wonder saves, 3 or 4 in a game. I think up front, I think they cancel each other out. In midfield, it'll be what a battle that'll be. But at the back, they're both a bit suspect. But I think Donnarumma is the difference. I really do think PSG will win the Champions League this season. They're the best team I think I've seen. Do you know what it was, Savva? It's when I watched the 2 legs against Liverpool in the knockout stage. PSG destroyed Liverpool, man. The scoreline flattered Liverpool. Same as last night. The scoreline flattered Arsenal.
Mm. No. Listen. I think it will be a great game. I think for a football purist, for the neutral, I think PSG Barcelona would be a final that we can all get on board with and go, yeah. See, I was so happy. It was catch-22. I was so happy Madrid went out. I was annoyed it was to Arsenal. But I'm bored of watching Madrid stink the place out and get over the line. Bored of it. I don't enjoy watching them. By the way, Rafinha, this year, Stel, have a guess. He's played 12 matches in the Champions League. How many goal contributions do you reckon he's got in 12 matches in the Champions League?
God knows. But whenever I watch the highlights, he's always involved. So
God knows. He's got 19 goal contributions in 12 games. He's got 12 goals and 7 assists in the Champions League. And I stand corrected. As I said, Lewandowski is not playing tonight. He's got a hamstring. So it means they'll play probably Olmo in the hole, maybe a false 9 like Ferran Torres, someone like that. But listen,
do you know what would be interesting about that final? The manager of PSG is Enrique. He's ex-Barca, isn't he?
Yes,
he's one of their own. That'll be that'll put an interesting spin on that.
Yeah, and he of course he won the. Did he win the treble with them?
Treble.
He did. He won the treble with them, didn't he? Listen, I tell you what. Last night, what you saw as well, Arsenal versus PSG. You saw one world-class coach completely school a naive coach that didn't know what to do. That's what I saw last night. By the way, the link that I'm putting in the chat here is I am doing a watch along on Big Up for PSG. For Barcelona versus Inter Milan in exactly 1 hour time. So at 10:02, there is the link for anyone that would like to join. Let me look at my comment. Apparently, Hansi Flick has never lost a final. Interesting. Alex, there's so many comments. I can't see it at the moment. Enrique and Flick, both are the only managers in the world that can achieve their second trebles this season, alongside the only ones to have ever won a treble twice, Pep Guardiola. I like that. Yeah. So Pep's done it, with City and Barca, and Enrique and Flick could both do it. Still, I'm going to leave it there. Thoroughly enjoyed that. Thoroughly enjoyed that. There's a lot of questions I could have gone to. I'm sorry, guys. There's just too many people. Del, before we go, give me a score prediction for Bodo Glimt visiting White Hart Lane tomorrow night. Everyone in the chat, give me your score as well.
Okay, I'm not going to give you a prediction because I've given up predicting in Europe. I've completely given up on it. What I will do is I'll say this. If Spurs win 4 or 5-0, we will be in the final. Spurs will get to the final. If we win 4 or 5-0, we will get to the final. However, one thing about this Bodo team, because a lot of fans are saying, they've got 3 of their best players missing. They've picked up a couple of injuries as well. Bodo Glimt on the road have got this funny knack of just about staying in the tie. They went away to Lazio, 3-0 down to 10 men. They got that equaliser just to stay in the tie, and then they won on penalties. If the game finishes 2-2, 1-1, 2-1 to Spurs, 3-1 to Spurs, I think Bodo will take that all day long. Because on their home turf, I think it's all to play for. So for me, Spurs must win 4 or 5-0. If Bodo somehow just hang in the tie, even by a thread, I'm telling you, this tie's not over. It's not. And they've got a knack of doing that. So that's all I'll say. I'll kind of predict what I think outcomes will look like. Spurs should convincingly win tomorrow. They should. They really should. We're at home. There'll be a cracking atmosphere. We don't have any injuries. We've rested players for this game. Bodo are going to this game, really up against it when you look at the situation with their players being out, suspended and injuries. But they've got a funny knack of just about hanging on in the tie, Savva. And that's going to be
They have. So, but this would be a funny knack of hanging on in the tie with their best 3 players injured.
Yeah.
And 3 injuries on top of that. For me, I think if they had Helmander and Berg playing, Berg is their best player. He's brilliant. I'd take him at Spurs all day, every day. I think if they had those playing, I'd be skeptical about tomorrow night. I think it will be 3 or 4-0. And I think that we'll hang on out there. I genuinely can't see that we lose to Bodo Glimt over 2 legs. I genuinely think it will be embarrassing. If we don't win tomorrow night, it's embarrassing. Is that fair?
They've got... Yes, it is.
Yeah. So I think it'll be 3 or 4-0 tomorrow. And then
they've got one... They've got their biggest strength, though, is not missing. Their biggest strength isn't missing, and that's their manager.
No,
that's their biggest strength.
But they're missing their top goal scorer and their guy that makes them tick, which is Berg. Berg is brilliant, and missing him for them. Matt. Listen, as I've said, 2 of these. I got taught this by my mum when I was little. 2 of these, 1 of these. You really need to learn that, right? I think Bodo are a very good team. I just think this tie has fallen very nicely for Spurs with the timing of their best players being out. Now, what I did notice as well, Stel, is all the way through, they've actually played their first leg at home. And what they've done is get the win, get in front, and then when they go away, do enough to stay in it. This is going to be different for them. If we go out to Bodo, it will be truly embarrassing. You can't get to a semi-final of a European competition and go out to a team that has an 8,500 seater stadium. I'm sorry. You can't. You just can't. I'll leave it there. Guys, tonight, here's the link. If anyone does want to join us over on Big Up for Barcelona versus Inter Milan in an hour's time, please do. There is the link. There is the link. Thank you very much. Tomorrow, I'll be back in the morning for the 10 a.m. show, followed by a live watch-along of Tottenham versus Glimt. But again, I can't take this guy serious. He's got the worst football takes I've ever seen. Matty K, what are you saying one last time? Savva, we could go into the next season in the Champions League and having cut behind us. You're saying if we paid them as much as Chelsea, wouldn't... Oh my good God. Stop. Matty, stop. Morgan Rogers is not going to pick Tottenham over Chelsea. Stop. I've heard these things said, Matty, for 25 years under Enoch. Stop. You could have stopped at this. Paid as much as Chelsea. Stop. No. No. Oh my God, Matty, you're becoming insufferable on my shows. I'm going to leave it there. Take care, everyone. Stel, thank you very much. When can people find you again?
Thursday. No. Actually, yes. Mari's doing the post-match show. Thursday night, post-match, 10:30. Reezy.
Yeah. Okay. Here, let me ask everyone in the show a question.
You do that. I need to go to the toilet quickly. I've been holding it in for 10 minutes.
Everyone, can you name me the last time a player picked Spurs over Chelsea? A top player that picked Spurs over Chelsea. I'll sit here and wait. Come on. Yes, there is such a thing as an easy. Yes, there is, and we're in it right now. No, mate, you just say ridiculous things. You did it the other day on my shows as well, mate, when you told I was bullying people. You were an idiot then, and you're being a little bit of an idiot now. Yeah? You're doing it again. Someone tell me, who picked Spurs over Chelsea? when both clubs were in for them. Neto? Nope. Willian? Nope. These people do not pick Spurs over Chelsea. I don't understand how you guys don't get this. They will pay bigger transfer fees. They will give them bigger bonuses. They will give them bigger salaries. They will pay bigger agent fees. People don't get it. Oh, Stel, I've got to go. I can't be dealing with.
I would have ended it 5 minutes ago.
I know. I've got to end it. Our fans, as I said, got the club you deserve. Where's another one? Got the club you deserve. Where's another one? I'll do it all day. Got the club you deserve. Until you wake up to the reality that we don't compete with these bigger clubs for players. Stel, what happened with Neto in the summer?
I wouldn't even entertain this question. We're not.
It happened with Willian. It happened with Sadio Mane to Liverpool. Guys, I'm ending the show there. I can't do this. I can't deal with silly people anymore.
If anyone's going to the game tomorrow and you see me, come and say hello.
Yes. Say hello to Stel tomorrow.
I like meeting people.
No, we should be beating Bodo. This is bread and butter. We should be beating Bodo. What are we doing? Take care, everyone. See you later. And please, somebody come and pick up the two little Matties. Someone needs to pick them up. See you later. Bye-bye.